what is a day in the life of a representative of a state?
Yeah, so we're in session probably 6, 7, 8 days a month. So although we're a full-time legislature, I spend the lion's share of my time in my district office. In Harrisburg, when we're in session, I mean, I'm on 4 committees: communications and technology, education, labor and industry, and commerce. Those are pretty active committees. So um, there will often be committee meetings before session starts, and there's preparation work that go into those committee meetings. There's bills and resolutions that we're voting on, and uh, some members, just vote and don't wish to speak on matters very often. But I'm not like that. I like to represent my constituents and voice concerns and objections or support. Um, and I do my best work from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. So I'm up at the Capitol very early. I'm preparing my remarks for committee or floor debate. So those are long days. In the district, it's filled with meeting with businesses, individuals. Our office exists to serve our 65,000 constituents. That might look like an issue with PENDOT, or the Department of Revenue, or some other
Sure.
department. So we're pretty busy helping constituents in that way. And then we have a pretty robust outreach at our district. I like to make myself available through mini town halls that we call Java with Joe. We also have veterans events, concealed carry events. We just want to be out there, available, educating the public on what we can do for them. And I love the people of the 47th. I really like interacting with them, taking their questions, and I love representing them.
How do those town hall meetings go? Because I've seen some wild town hall videos. Are you guys pretty fair and controlled, or does it get a little rambunctious sometimes?
It often doesn't get rambunctious, actually. I've known the people of the 47th, even if they disagree, to be really respectful. But what we've done
Mm.
lately is we've had themed meetings. So the next one we have coming up is on AI and data centers. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of questions around AI. I'm bringing in a representative from Columbia County who's on the state's AI task force. So I try to bring in
Mm.
people who know more than me about the subject. And then the topic of data centers. Pennsylvania is really in an interesting spot. We had that summit in Pittsburgh a couple months ago where Senator McCormick and President Trump announced this giant private investment in the state in lieu of
Yeah.
AI. So that's starting to translate into some of my townships and municipalities. There's these proposals for data centers, and I've heard both sides from my constituents. The positives are, it's tax revenue, of course. But there's also concerns about, developing farmland, which isn't good. And then energy use.
Mm.
So, we've been told for a long time that the grid isn't really sustainable, and it's a right concern to have, to ask questions at least about those GPUs eat up a ton of energy. So I'm excited to have that town hall and hear what people have to say.
Are you leaning towards a certain way right now in your head, or you don't want to? You want to wait until you have the town hall discussion before you?
No, I mean, I don't have a strong position either way, and the reason I don't is because it's a local decision. So
Yeah.
if East Manchester Township wants to rezone their elected officials, and they have a greater pulse of that locale, really, as they should. So I see the benefits, I see the risks. My ask of these data center proposals is that they create their own energy, and that's what we're seeing a lot. So I don't want
Hmm.
my communities to be losing out because of this data center sucking up energy. But that's a township or municipality decision. So I feel like I shouldn't have a stake.
Dude, what a great answer. I mean, I just think so this is actually a perfectly timed podcast for me. I have a client who is very liberal, hates Trump, you know, just one of this, but we have great conversations and I respect him a lot. I disagree vehemently with him, but we have great conversations. And he was just telling me about a representative in Michigan that's a Republican who doesn't live in the district, never checks in the district, never is at the district office. And I don't know, again, two sides to every story. Don't know if this is true, not true. But I just love your pulse. I can tell you care for the people you represent. You know, I can tell you really want to do good by them. Which leads me to this question. And then I want to go into the bills and some of the things that you've been working on. So, from a layman looking into House of Representatives and senators and all this kind of stuff, you see all the time where people will just do whatever it takes to keep the votes. You see all the time they're going to go back and forth and really almost have no backbone, not really even represent, just do whatever they'll say, whatever they need to say to keep their job. How have you found that to be challenging for you specifically? Have you seen that happen where people will just flip-flop on issues based on whatever gets them their seat again? How and then, like, how do you as a representative balance like, personal morals with, like, representing a group of people that might not have the same moral standard that you might have, if
Yeah.
that makes any sense?
Well, the way our system works, I'm a proxy for the
Mm,
65,000 people I represent. So there are issues, moral issues where I have convictions, where I am where I am. And the people who voted me in know that. There's some other issues that I don't really have a strong position, and it's actually much more valuable that I get a pulse of the district. I'll give you an example. Open primaries has been something I've heard about. I remember having a teletown hall on open primaries, hoping, that it would be 80-20 for or against, so that I could get a clearer picture of where my people stood. And it was like 50-50.
mm.
And I was like, come on, guys. I was actually hoping that you could move the needle. So it's one of those things, kind of like data centers, where I see both sides, and I can
Mm,
make a good argument either way. But I am their proxy. As far as reelection being a motive, it happens every day up in Harrisburg. It's very
yeah.
frustrating. I told people from when I was campaigning and at first until today, I'm not there to get reelected. If my voting record and what I have to say and what I do is distasteful to the people of the 47th, they can vote me out. I'll work in the private sector. I'm not tied to this job. There's few people in the Capitol that have that position. Most of the votes, the more controversial ones, are fueled by what will get me reelected, what will get me back in this seat next term. And that's a reality of Harrisburg, but it's really difficult to watch.
I mean, I think it's nationwide. You can see it. How do we fix? I mean, how is there a fix to this? Like, in some ways, is this model broken? Or is there? How do we get people to? I mean, do we just need more good people running? I mean, is it as simple as that?
That's part of it. I think term limits would help. The negative of term limits is if you have a really principled, strong person, they you limit them. I
Yeah,
actually,
like Nancy Pelosi.
yeah.
Or no, see, I'm kidding.
Josh Hawley is a guy that I really like in the Senate
Mm,
from Missouri. But yeah, I introduced a resolution last term for congressional term limits that didn't go anywhere. But I think term limits is the best answer. But yeah, of course, if there's a lot of people out there that won't run for office because of everything that goes with it. It's very hard to campaign. There's a lot
mhm.
of hoops to jump through with the Department of State, a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of times it's a thankless job. So we're definitely in need of principled people to step into the field.